This is CBC Vancouver News.
It's being called a miracle on a mountain.
I mean, it is a total miracle that she is alive.
The incredible rescue of a snowshoer buried by an avalanche on Mount Seymour. Plus, promising news from the Premier.
We will be building a brand new acute care tower right here at Surrey Memorial Hospital.
But the big question is when it will open, with BC's healthcare crisis not budging. Also, an impossibly tight squeeze.
We were shocked. So it's impossible to park.
A new Vancouver townhouse complex with 2 small parking spaces. The advice and the warning to homeowners. Hi, I'm Tanya Fletcher. Thanks for joining us. Rescuers on the North Shore say it is a miracle she's still alive. A woman buried by an avalanche stuck upside down for 20 minutes under the snow. The CBC's Georgie Smythe has more on that incredible story and details of another avalanche that took a BC man's life in Alberta.
In Alberta's Rocky Mountains, 2 men were hit by an avalanche while backcountry skiing on Sunday. Only one was able to dig himself out. The body of a 19-year-old man from BC has now been recovered.
Makes us think about things and certainly have a higher respect for the outdoor and what the environment can do for you and to you.
On the same day, rescuer Jim Laurie expected the worst when a distress call came in from a man looking for his wife after an avalanche in the North Shore Mountains.
And any avalanche call is quite serious. We fully expected by the time we got there that it was going to be a totally different outcome and we'd be looking for a body.
The pair was snowshoeing when a slope gave way. The man eventually spotted the tip of his wife's snowshoe.
When the husband dug his wife out, she was initially unconscious and quite blue because she wasn't getting enough oxygen, but she was breathing, fortunately, and a long time had passed. It had been easily probably 20 minutes, possibly more, that she was buried in the snow. It is a total miracle that she is alive.
When rescuers arrived, they first warmed the woman up and then brought her down the mountain. She's recovering at home. In BC's mountains, the risk of avalanches is high, especially on the coast.
It's largely been driven by large amounts of snowfall. Most areas had over 1 meter of snow on the weekend, causing dangerous conditions. And we're expecting another big snowfall on Monday night.
He says people should stay out of the backcountry until conditions improve. All that snow comes after months of hardly any, so the temptation to get in the mountains is high in spite of the dangers. Georgie Smythe, CBC News, Vancouver.
There was yet another fatality in BC's mountains over the weekend. A Vancouver woman has died after some sort of incident on Whistler's Blackcomb Mountain. Vail Resorts confirms the woman became separated from her partner, who then called ski patrol. Rescuers found the woman unresponsive on an advanced ski trail near Cat Skinner Express chairlift. She was 32 years old. Richmond City Council has tonight approved a motion to ask the federal government for more shelter beds. Local politicians say more space is needed given an influx of asylum seekers, putting more strain on an already overburdened system.
Be it resolved that the province of BC be requested to advocate to the Government of Canada for funding for municipalities.
Currently, Richmond's shelter capacity is 30 people at a time, but the city says a third of those beds are being used by refugees. The province says last year, refugee claims doubled to nearly 8,000 in BC. RCMP are clarifying there is no evidence to suggest a widespread diversion of safer supply drugs into the illegal market. This comes after Alberta Premier Danielle Smith and federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre used a recent drug seizure in Prince George to criticize BC's safer supply program. Last week, Prince George Mounties announced they seized pills, including morphine and hydromorphone, that are part of the provincial program offering prescription alternatives to people at risk of overdosing. Now, RCMP say confirmed safer supply prescriptions do make up a portion, although a minority, of drug seizures. Premier David Eby says if there is a systemic issue of those drugs being funneled, the province will take steps to address it.
There are a number of suggestions that have been put forward, some more practical than others, about addressing the issue. But really, for us, it's about identifying where any diversion may be taking place, that we find the source and address it quickly.
Meanwhile, BC's Solicitor General Mike Farnworth says Premier Smith and Pierre Poilievre should have waited for more details before making such claims about the province's program. Quite the sight around False Creek this morning with a fire sparking up outside Science World. Vancouver firefighters say the flames started deep in the pilings supporting the decking on the dock. The fire was triggered by some sort of electrical issue stemming from work being done on the building. The specific location of this blaze made it particularly challenging for crews to access.
We don't train specifically for fighting a fire under a pier that's just 6 feet from the water. So adapt and overcome. Our crews are really, really good at doing that.
Investigators and electricians stayed on the scene for several hours to make sure the problem was contained. An unbelievably tight squeeze. That's what a Vancouver man and his neighbors are calling the parking spaces at their new complex. Our Benit Brach got a first-hand look at their frustrations and has more on what residents can do to avoid a similar situation.
I can't get out. You can't get out? Oh my gosh.
This tight parking situation is not what Hussein Loiby expected when he finally came to see his brand new townhouse in Vancouver.
We were shocked. So it's impossible to park.
He purchased the townhouse as a pre-sale 3 years ago and says it's extremely difficult for either of his cars to fit the small car parking spot.
We are really disappointed. I feel that the unit is without a parking spot.
And did you know that this type of parking would be here?
No emails came from the company at all. Just came, this is your parking spot, 21. They said they can't do anything about it.
The developer, Open Forum Properties, says all parking stalls comply with relevant City of Vancouver standards and that the parking lot was approved by the city.
Don't want to scratch it.
We did bring Hussein's concerns to the City of Vancouver. It sent an inspector to the lot to measure the spaces, who also found the stalls do comply with city parking requirements. The city says a small parking space in Vancouver should be at least 2.3 meters wide. If there's a column, it can't encroach into the parking spot any more than 15 centimeters. Hussein is still left questioning his situation.
That's we're frustrated. People paid lots of money for this. That doesn't suit what we have a plan, what we have did for this unit. So yeah, we feel like as if we were cheated in a way.
The city says in January, an inspector did go to the site and deemed it compliant, and that typically no measurements are taken unless there's a significant difference noted in person. One real estate lawyer says it's important for anyone purchasing a pre-sale to pay careful attention to contracts, even when it comes to parking.
So the problem with a pre-sale is you don't see what you're buying when you sign the contract. You see there's a section on parking stalls, which usually says the developer gets to pick the parking stall, and it could be any kind of parking stall anywhere.
He said it's also a good idea to have a lawyer review the clauses before signing any contracts.
For regarding parking stalls, I tell the client to revise the offer and say, I want a full-size, unobstructed parking stall.
He says it's important to be proactive so you can get what you're paying for.
And parking stalls are very expensive. Some parking stalls downtown can run you $50,000, $75,000. So it's not a small detail.
Meanwhile, Hussein and his parking stall neighbors are still left feeling frustrated, hoping for another solution soon. Benit Brach, CBC News, Vancouver.
Victoria's mayor is calling on the province to delay its short-term rental rules. They're set to take effect in May. The restrictions would ban most short-term rentals like Airbnbs that are not a person's primary residence. The city wants the rules postponed for the upcoming tourist season.
The delay is just for implementation and not for the legislation itself in any sense of changing it, but to delay its application so that folks who are holding STRs that are intended to be for the visitor industry could have one last final high season, as we call it, in the summer.
The mayor wants the short-term rental rules to come into effect in November instead. She'll be bringing a motion to council this week to request the province do just that. Well, Federal Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland met with Premier David Eby today, weeks before she tables her budget next month.
It's really great to see you, Premier. I was very happy about the BC Builds announcement when we tabled the fall economic statement. That was one of the things we had in mind that it was going to allow us to do.
Freeland says inflation fell to 2.9% in January. That's down from 3.4% the month before. She says this is a return to the Bank of Canada's target range. Freeland adds wage growth in Canada has outpaced inflation for the past 12 months, and she'll present this year's federal budget on April 16th. Well, meanwhile, the Premier unveiled details today of a new acute care tower for Surrey Memorial Hospital. Physicians at the hospital say it's a step in the right direction given acute overcrowding and long wait times. But as John Hernandez reports, there are pressing concerns over when the new facility will actually open its doors.
We will be building a brand new acute care tower right here at Surrey Memorial Hospital.
The Premier's words were what healthcare workers at Surrey Memorial Hospital had been waiting to hear for years.
It's a massive move in the right direction.
The busiest hospital in BC will soon be getting a major upgrade.
This tower at the hospital will ensure that the residents of Surrey get top quality maternity care. They will get top quality specialty care.
The announcement comes as more and more people continue to move into BC's fastest growing city. Investments in the region's healthcare have lagged, leading to what many healthcare workers have called a crisis inside the overcrowded hospital.
We are seeing massive volumes, high volumes of admission rates. We have on any given day, 100 patients that are getting hallway medicine in the emergency department.
Randeep Gill is among doctors who have campaigned for a new tower at the hospital, which currently doesn't have the resources to treat the 3 leading causes of death: heart attack, stroke, and trauma.
We'll be pushing for those services. We'll be recruiting those specialists to come work here at the hospital.
But those services are still a long way off. The province will spend at least a year developing a business plan for the tower. There's no set project completion date.
The concern would be timeline, because we are in a dire need at the moment.
Concerns shared by the site's medical director.
We will still have long waits in our emergency department, and we still will have hallway beds for a while. I want to assure you that nobody in this hospital wishes to provide that kind of care.
The new tower, part of a bigger plan to fix the region's ailing healthcare services, with a new hospital and medical school also on the way. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
The first cruise ship of the season has sailed into Canada Place. The ship, called the Disney Wonder, arrived this morning. The Port of Vancouver says this is the kickoff to what could be another record year for cruise passenger visits.
This year we're anticipating more people. The number of vessels hasn't exceeded last year, but at 329, but we are expecting 1.27 passengers. Some of the ships are a little bit larger, which take a few more people. So that's how the math works out.
And this year's predicted 1.27 million passengers would be about a 2% increase over last year's all-time record. Well, Muslims are ringing in the start of the holy month of Ramadan across the world. It's a time when many will forego food and water to prioritize reflection, charity, and prayer. Our Zara Premji is hearing some of the hopes and goals that many are tying to this special month.
The holy month has arrived, and from Naya Gamal, that means stocking up on tasty treats.
I don't cook a lot, but usually for Ramadan, maybe this is the only time I really care about cooking.
And she's not the only one shopping for fun ingredients for iftar, the meal eaten at sunset to break fast. With festive foods just flying off the shelves at local grocery stores.
Regular day, if not Ramadan, like let's say 60%. Ramadan, 200% up. Double business for us, double work, you know what I mean?
But Ramadan brings with it more than just food at the end of each day of fasting. There's an indescribable joy.
I'm so excited. The best month in my life.
I'm so excited.
It's really an exciting time to spend time with family and to spend time with our community.
This is the blessing month, and we will pray to God to have mercy on us.
It's not about being hungry all day, just giving, helping, praying, everything.
And on the side of giving,
here in BC, what we've actually done is we're partnering with interfaith partners, and we're doing a food drive to raise food and funds for our local food banks.
And it marks a fresh start for many who have set new goals.
Charge my battery. Yeah, not just my religion battery, but also my spirit. Family time, it's the best time for us, our family, to get together, because this is maybe the only months where we have a schedule, a very fixed schedule about breaking fasting.
So my goal for this month is to learn more about my own faith and to really give back to my community and to participate in this Ramadan food drive and really look at how I can make a difference in my community.
For example, I don't talk to my sister, but in Ramadan, again, like open mind, open, heart,
The sighting of a new moon will mark the end of the month of Ramadan, and celebrations for Eid al-Fitr will take place. People will gather with friends and family to break bread and have a meal, also come together at mosques, masjids, Ismaili Jamaat khanas to celebrate the end of the holy month. Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem, Happy Ramadan. Zara Premji, CBC News, Burnaby.
Still ahead, we take you to a very special birthday party in Port Coquitlam, celebrating the matriarchy of a family who's now well into her hundreds. We'll introduce you after the break. And thank you for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. To the East Coast, where some people on Prince Edward Island are hoping to take advantage of that province's new rent-to-own program. They say they're frustrated. Almost 70% of those who've applied have been denied, and some that have been approved are still facing challenges getting into a home. The CBC's Steve Bruce has that story.
Isaiah Henderson says he and his wife have worked hard to earn a decent income, to save up, and to try to buy their own home. But in today's market, with high prices and interest rates, they're finding a mortgage approval is out of reach.
Well, it's quite frustrating to be, shut down. It's like, okay, here we are, we're 26, 27, trying to find our own home, trying to, start a family, and we can't even do that with a one-bedroom apartment that we're in now.
Now, though, some hope. Henderson and his wife were just pre-approved under the province's new rent-to-own program. Once they find the right place, government will buy it, they'll pay the mortgage, and in 5 years, they can buy the house. What they've paid already will go towards the purchase.
$279.
But here's the challenge. The Hendersons were approved for a $300,000 home, but finding a place at that price, especially around Charlottetown, is tough.
So happy that we got approved. But now that we are approved, kind of looking at what we got approved for and the houses that are available, and it's kind of like another slap in the face.
The fact they were pre-approved at all actually puts them in the minority. So far, the province has processed 107 applications for the rent-to-own program. 73 were declined, just 34 were pre-approved or conditionally pre-approved.
I really didn't see any reason why I wouldn't be approved.
But Amanda Mahar was declined. She's frustrated, she says, because she thought she met all the criteria and can more than afford the mortgage on the house she wants to buy.
My credit cards are all paid up. My score is well above where it needs to be. Maybe they weren't clear enough with their criteria.
Realtor Arian Siegel says he is hearing similar frustrations.
A lot of factors are coming in. I feel like the program needs to sort of lessen the strictness. It's the niche that it's targeting is very different than what it says that it's targeting.
The rent-to-own program is...
The minister responsible for the program said today the qualifying criteria are standard and necessary.
We want to make sure that people experience success in becoming a homeowner in the next 5 years. So we do have criteria that we've put in place to make sure that people are successful.
This is a pilot program. It'll wrap up at the end of November or once its budget of $17.5 million has been spent. The minister says the province will decide then whether to continue and if anything needs to change. Steve Bruce, CBC News, Charlottetown.
Welcome back. It's an exercise program for older men. Fit Fellas in West Vancouver aims to get men moving. But as Radio Canada's Monia Blanchette finds out, there's more to the program than just physical fitness.
It's 7:40 on a Wednesday morning. A fitness class, unlike most, is starting up. The average age, 78, and the participants, men. Fit Fellas was created in the 1970s by Frank Caruso. He was an avid runner who wanted to mix up his exercise routine.
They didn't call it Fit Fellas at the time, but there was a core of these 8 guys that gradually grew over the years.
Barry Chapman has been teaching the Friday morning class for 28 years. The program started small. Just 30 men participated back then.
And it grew fairly quickly to up in the 60s and 70s.
Now, around 170 men take part in 8 different classes at the West Vancouver Community Centre.
Back to the first side.
The exercises adapted for the age of the men participating.
We concentrate on strength, of course, but coordination and balance, which is so important as you get older to prevent falls and that sort of thing.
Hold it there.
Up on the second floor, it's a class for even older men. The exercises for those who are 90 years and up.
I'm 95 in this week. Yeah.
I'm 101. I'll be 102 next month or something.
This class is also tailored for those who have chronic illness or are recovering after an operation. But it's not just about exercise. The program also brings men together to socialize.
The social part of our program is probably just as important as the fitness. I just tell the guys, we're here to have fun. If you get fit, that's your problem. You're going to have to deal with it.
Monia Blanchette, CBC News, West Vancouver.
Well, today is Lois Karen's birthday, and it's a very special one. She is turning 107 years old. Lois has 5 children, 12 grandkids, and 19 great-grandkids. And the family came together in Port Coquitlam this weekend to celebrate, so we stopped by.
She's certainly kept a lot of her personality well into her hundreds.
The secret, the other thing she has always done, she never drinks, but she would always ask for a glass of wine with a little bit in it so that nobody would think that she had a problem. We always admired her for her, her youthfulness. Like, she was golfing 18 holes in her 80s, like walking 9 holes. As she turned 100, she was still using her walker to just do some laps around the block and then laps around her home.
Just a great day. Nice to, there are 5 kids, there are 12 grandchildren and 19 great-grandchildren. So this is sort of half of the clan, and we're, it's wonderful to be with Mom at this time.
And you're looking at a live shot of the Port of Vancouver. A wet start to this week will give way to a warm end to the week. Darius will be here with your 5-day forecast next.
In 53 years of competition, it had never happened before. A group of teams from a territory where hockey reigned supreme, capturing gold at the Arctic Winter Games. But last February in Fort McMurray, Alberta, they did it. Champions of the circumpolar world. A monumental win where even in -30 weather, the communities rallied to welcome their champions. Players returned home to parades and celebrations in their communities.
We're on a truck. There's lots of guys.
Now the team is gearing up for yet another run, looking to accomplish what seemed impossible only 11 months ago.
Guys won gold last year, so that's our slogan. All right, so you guys got to remember what that is. Prepared to defend, ready to repeat.
Led this year by head coach Martin Joy, the team is heading into Alaska with an identity.
we can compete now. We're not going there just to learn or feel ourselves out. So everybody loves a good story up here. Everybody loves to get behind the athletes, and that's why it's so important.
This year presents a taller task with a team more spread out than they were last year. 3 of the returning players won't meet up with their new teammates until weeks before the tournament, staying sharp while playing hockey away from home in Manitoba.
Wiseman, he scores! What a beauty!
Some players like Rankin Inlet's Gregory Wiseman take their talents south to develop on and off the ice. Hockey is both their solace and their ticket.
It's our way of getting away from everything, just a way to escape from reality, I guess. Like in Jordan Tutu's book, some of the stuff that happens in Rankin or in Nunavut, it's just a way to get away from that.
Some people take for granted how much athletics and how much achieving goals, especially at you could call it an international competition going there. And I think that's stuff that those players will remember it forever. The communities have so much pride in their players and with their homegrown talent. We always talk about lighting that spark for all the other kids, and now these kids here, they obviously watched the games last year. They're part of the excitement, and that's really what about hockey does for these small communities. It just gives itself life, shows the kids that there's something to train for, something ahead of them, and it just provides that foundation that we're looking for.
The Canadians will be facing some unfamiliar rule changes, like how they won't be allowed to ice the puck while killing a penalty. But after beating Alaska in the gold medal game last year, the team is up to the challenge.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Our Darius Madavi joins us with a look at the forecast. And could it be the light at the end of the winter tunnel, Darius?
It might be. I mean, take a look, soak it all in. Might be the last time we see something like this. All that precipitation flowing in, at least the last time for a while, all that precipitation flowing in, that snow on the mountains, because freezing levels are going to rise at the end of this week, as are temperatures. Parts of BC are going to hit 20 degrees this weekend. So I know we're still a little ways out, but like you said, Tanya, some light at the end of the tunnel, not just for here in the South Island and the Lower Mainland, but also across the southern parts of BC, seeing some of that precipitation, seeing some of that snow at higher elevations and that rain in the valleys. That is going to be a similar story tomorrow. We have some unsettled conditions that are going to persist across much of BC, but then we start to calm down, and by Thursday, we're dry across the more southern parts of BC. Now, if you look at our 48-hour forecast, you can see all that snow built in primarily on the south coast and those mountain ranges, but also parts of the further north and along the eastern parts of the province. If you look at our conditions for tomorrow, we do have a little bit more excitement still, that unsettled air mass sitting over BC before it finally moves out and leaves some sun and some warming temperatures in its wake. We have been below seasonal for going on 2 weeks now across parts of BC, especially here in Vancouver, where we haven't even hit those double digits in a while. So should be a nice change of pace. But yes, a little bit of sun in some places tomorrow as a bit of taste for what's to come. And then if we zoom in here, it'll be, again, the last time we get to look at some precipitation on the local mountains for a while. So I threw it in just for fun. A little bit of rain, a little bit of snow. Should still be snow at those peaks, so a little bit of good news there. I did throw this in, even though we are well past the evening by now, because we're going to see some of that rain taper off tomorrow, but also it is the beginning of that. We're seeing that waxing crescent moon. So happy Ramadan to those who celebrate. And then if we take a look at our 5-day forecast, some morning showers tomorrow leads to some clearing skies overnight Wednesday, and then nothing but sun and warming temperatures. Warmerest this weekend.
Warmest. Okay, we will look forward to that, and we'll take that rain in the meantime for the dry places that still need it. Thanks so much, Darius.
Thanks, Tanya.
And that is your late news for this Monday, March 11th. For news anytime, anywhere, download the free CBC News app. You can always find us online as well. We're at cbc.ca/BC. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.